Okay. This is Martin Giles of the Guildford Dragon News, and I'm with Councillor Tim Oliver, leader of Surrey County Council. Firstly, thank you very much for joining us, Councillor Oliver. I understand that you've rearranged your diary in order to give this interview, and that's much appreciated. Now, we are going to talk to discuss your thwarted proposal for a single unitary authority for Surrey that would have combined all the councils into one unitary authority for the whole county. Your email to your fellow Conservative councillors clearly shows your frustration with the government and its decision not to press ahead with changes to the structure of local government. But in truth, wasn't your judgment on the timing of the proposal in the middle of a pandemic, with Brexit on the horizon and the county council election due next May, equally at fault? Surely the last thing we needed was a controversial reorganisation of our councils, which the borough and district councils don't support, nor all of Surrey's MPs. Had you been encouraged by the Secretary of State, Robert Jenrick? Had you spoken to him about the white paper and your plans? Why did you jump the gun with your bid?
Well, there are lots of questions there, Martin. So let's start by saying that actually this was a government proposal, is a government proposal to release a white paper. And all of the indications from Simon Clarke, who was the local government minister, was that it would incentivise authorities to go down the unitary route. And he was quite specific in his briefings that they were looking at, they did not think that the two-tier structure was now necessarily appropriate. And what they were looking at was more unitaries and then proper local engagement. And on that basis, from those government briefings, Surrey County Council and indeed many other authorities around the country then put in action the preparation of business plans.
So how much did the preparation of the bid cost? How much of the spend went to consultants, and how much officer time was given to the bid?
I think there's some freedom of information requests on that. I don't have the breakdown here, but there are two parts. Firstly, I should have said actually that my email my private email to a private group on Friday, which I appreciate somebody has passed to you, may have been premature, because actually I haven't yet had a formal response from the Secretary of State telling me that we're not going to be invited to pursue a bid. So we may well still get that letter, although the noise that I picked up last week, as did other county leaders, suggested that maybe there wasn't the capacity to take forward a number of bids at this stage.
Okay,
So
I'd like to get on to next steps a bit later, but going back to the cost, I've been told that it's been estimated at hundreds of thousands of pounds, perhaps as much as £1 million of taxpayer money.
No, that's complete nonsense.
Okay, so it's what is the ballpark? Is it several hundreds or what?
It'll be probably, I don't know, between around 100,000, something between 100 and 150,000, that sort of order. Because there are two parts to this bid. One is the unitary structure itself, and whether or not there should be one unitary covering Surrey, or two or three, which is the preferred option of the district and boroughs. But the other significant part of this piece of work was looking at local engagement and the 25 natural communities that exist within Surrey. And we will be moving forward with that piece of work, because this is about getting proper local engagement on local issues, whilst the main statutory services that need to be delivered around children's services and adults, highways and waste, we felt should continue to be dealt with at a single level, just as the county council does now. But the piece of work, the key piece of work around the local engagement, as my email said, will continue.
Okay, but some are actually accusing you of arrogance over this. I guess it's to do more with the timing, that it was brought forward without a lot of notice, or any notice. I mean, the borough council leaders themselves, borough and district council leaders, were surprised by the proposal. Don't you think you should have consulted more before you put it forward? And wasn't it rushed?
No, it wasn't rushed. Yes, there were discussions. You have to accept and acknowledge that, there are Conservative group leaders within the boroughs, and there are opposition leaders, and some of those are. So I certainly had conversations within the Conservative Association, the Conservative group, many months ago, because it was in the Conservative Party manifesto. So certainly, as far as I was aware, there were active discussions around. But actually, if you speak to the district and borough leaders, there was a high degree of consensus around a unitary structure, not on the single unitary, but actually a number of them do believe that there were improvements that would be delivered by unitaries. They're already having conversations amongst themselves about combining back office services and so on. And so I don't think that the principle of unitaries necessarily was that opposed.
No, I think that's true. I don't think people's minds are closed to the advantages of unitaries, but I think their complaint, and we must remember that only 2 or 3 of the borough or district councils now are in control of the Conservatives. So, a majority of the borough and district councils aren't led by Conservatives, and they didn't feel properly consulted, or at least Caroline Reeves here in Guildford didn't.
So until last year, 10 of the 11 districts and boroughs were Conservative controlled, and under the last election, it's right that there are a number of them are where the Conservatives still lead them, but as minority administrations. I think you have to go back to the words of the minister, Simon Clarke, who made it absolutely clear in those briefings that he did not see a future for the district and boroughs. This is not me saying this, it was him. This was the government's policy, and what they wanted to do was to have genuine local forums, community networks, just as you've got in Wiltshire and Durham and Cornwall, either community networks or a mixture of town and parish councils, because that's what they, COVID, if anything, has made the world look smaller. We've seen some fantastic work being done in local communities, for their area, for their locality. That was a key part of my administration's policy before COVID, to introduce local partnership boards, and it still is.
Okay, now we touched on this earlier, but can you say what are the next steps now, given that I think you've said that the idea or the policy of moving towards unitary authorities, or at least considering them, isn't dead. So what are you expecting to happen in Surrey now, given that we've got a county council election coming up next May? It's not going to be possible before that, is it?
Well, I don't know. I would just repeat that I'm waiting for a formal response from the Secretary of State, which I would hope we would have this week. But I'm waiting for that formal response. The indications from government before last week had been favourable in terms of inviting Surrey to submit bids, and that would be our bid from the County Council and probably an alternative bid from the district and boroughs. We had got to a point in this process where we were expecting to be invited to submit it. Now, that may have changed, and I suspect, maybe that my email to my group, my private email, was premature, but we shall see. So there are 2 routes, aren't there? So either we will get the letter inviting us to submit the bid, and we will push on with that, and the Secretary of State will then determine which bid he prefers, if that's the case, or we won't, in which case we will carry on doing exactly what we're doing. We have to remember here, as a society now, as a country, we've incurred significant debt. There is not going to be enough money to go around. All the numbers you'll see through local government suggest that, it needs billions of pounds more of funding. Actually, streamlining local government, removing some of those duplicated layers of administration, would generate savings without the need to cut services. And I would point to the district and boroughs and the challenges that they face, having lost income from planning, from licensing, from car parks, and in some cases, some of those councils will lose income from commercial investments. So this is not a good picture for local government long-term funding. So actually anything that we could have done collectively to remove costs, duplicated costs, would have been a good thing.
And I think a lot of people would agree with you on that, but it's not just about the finances, is it? People have to feel properly represented, and this is a major change in the way they are represented.
It'll be better. It'll be better. You know, we've got to recognise that the county council already delivers services to 1.1 million people. And even in the district and boroughs bid, they recognise that breaking up children's services and adult services would not be a good thing. Those are statutory services serving the 40-odd thousand vulnerable people in this county. What was far more important to me, and is more important to me, is the local engagement. And, you know, I've been doing a lot of work in Farnham, for example, you know, where we've got this high levels of pollution that's highly congested today. It's a beautiful town, you know, medieval town, you know, and we've been working with the district and borough and the town council to improve that. Now, you know, and we've got a local liaison forum. We've really engaged, trying to engage with local residents about what they want in their locality. And that is what we will do. You know, there's a whole list of things here that we will start to go out to discuss with residents about about local services in their area and local assets, giving people control over their, you know, to a greater extent over their libraries, over their parks, over their leisure facilities, and so on.
So how will you measure the popularity of the proposal? Will there be a referendum?
There won't be a referendum, but there will be public consultation. So the testing that we have done, you know, just around the unitary point, I think that, you know, 59% of residents and focus groups that were asked were supportive of a unitary structure. And indeed, I think, you know, nearly the same number was supportive of a single unitary. So I think when you explain it to residents, ignore the unitary bit up here that will continue to deliver the same statutory services that the county does, but actually, what is in it for you, residents? How are we going to stop having to put up council tax each year? How are we going to not cut services, you know, with an ever decreasing budget from government? When you explain to them that, and actually they will get involved, can get involved in defining their locality, they're very supportive.
Okay, so what effect do you think this is going to have on the county council election results next May for your party, given the disquiet that has been raised by the issue?
Martin, you know, I'm a politician. I've been 20 years. I've stood 9 times. I'm never going to predict how the residents vote. I can tell you that.
Okay, all right. But you did sound quite angry with the government in your email, because you did say, you know, they keep starting fires and then walking away, and it's disappointing. I'm sure a lot of people would sympathise with you at the moment over that. I mean, I also think people understand, you know, if they think about it, government isn't always easy, and there's a lot of challenges around at the moment. But this did seem as if they were shooting themselves in the foot with this one.
Well, you know, I am frustrated. I am frustrated because this was, you know, I think an initiative, a government initiative that would have, would have delivered a better local government structure, and you know, having you know, the minister having spent many months going out and kind of selling this. I was with him. So to the extent that the government aren't going to pursue that, it is slightly frustrating. You know, it's a challenge whether at national government or local government. I mean, I've had some, you know, some personal vilification here. Even your own, you know, your own newspaper has sort of suggested that this is all about me personally. It's not about me personally. I'm trying to do a job here. I'm trying to deliver better services for our residents. I'm a resident, my family are residents, my friends are residents here. I genuinely are trying to do a good job, but it is challenging.
Okay, I don't think the Guildford Dragon has actually said. I think we may have quoted other people saying that, but I'm not aware that we've said it.
Well, I think I saw a picture of the Game of Thrones with me sitting on something at some point, but I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is if people kind of misrepresent the position, and I think here, you know, this is not about personal ambition, quite the reverse, I can assure you. But it's you know, from my own experiences, you know, I have seen the frustrations at all levels here. You know, I get emails every single day from residents saying, "Why don't you do this? Why can't you do that?" And you know, and some of that is financial constraint. Some of it actually is because, you know, we need to have a structure where we can deal with those genuinely local issues in a better and more effective way than we have been able to in the past.
Okay. Councillor Tim Oliver, thank you very much for giving us your time this morning. Good day to you.
Thanks very much, Martin.